Welcome to the Explainer. What if you could build a digital expert? Something that could really understand your data, think for itself, and answer your most complex questions. Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do.
All right, here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with what an AI agent even is. Then we'll meet our key players, the Snowflake and Vertex Dream Team. We'll break down how they actually work together, see a really cool real-world example, touch on how you set it all up, and then we'll wrap up with why this is such a game changer.
Okay, so first things first, let's really get our heads around what we're talking about here.
Think about it. What if you could just talk to your data? Not just run rigid queries or stare at static dashboards, but have an actual conversation, ask follow-up questions, explore a hunch, and get answers that feel less like code and more like a real collaboration.
And that is exactly where AI agents step in. And look, these are not just glorified chatbots, okay? We're talking about something way smarter. An AI agent can actually perceive its environment, make decisions, and take autonomous actions. It can think, it can plan, and then it can act on its own to solve a problem.
All right, so to build one of these super smart agents, you really need two key ingredients: a massive, trustworthy library of information and a brilliant brain to make sense of it all.
And that's where this amazing partnership comes into play. On one side, you've got Snowflake. That's your single source of truth, the secure, governed library where all your valuable company data lives. And on the other side, you have Google's Vertex AI. That's the AI factory. It provides the powerful models and tools you need to build the agent's brain.
So, you're probably wondering, how does one of these agents actually, think? How does it go from a complex question to a coherent answer? It's not just magic. There's a really cool, structured process going on under the hood.
It all starts with something called the Agent Gateway Framework. So think of it like this. The gateway is the project manager who gets your request. It then hands it off to the task planner. That's the brain, the strategist who breaks the big problem down into smaller, manageable steps. Next up is the executor. These are the hands of the operation. It's the specialist that actually goes out and does the work. And finally, you have the fuse step, where all those separate findings are brought back together into one single, easy-to-understand answer.
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting. The executor has this incredible toolkit at its disposal. This is what makes it so powerful. It's not stuck using just one method. It can dig through unstructured stuff like PDFs with the Cortex search tool. It can query your structured data with the Cortex Analyst tool. That's the one that turns your plain English into SQL. It can even run custom Python code for tricky stuff like scraping a website or calling an API. It's like a Swiss Army knife for data.
All right, enough theory. It's all well and good to talk about gateways and executors, but let's see this thing in action. We've got a really fun, real-world example to walk through that shows just how powerful this is. So, imagine this question comes in. Just think about that for a second. That's not a simple, single query. It's got multiple parts. You need to identify the vehicle from a VIN, search through technical documents for the right part, and then find its price from somewhere completely different. For a person, that's a lot of work.
So the agent gets the question, and right away the task planner kicks in. Its first thought? Okay, before I do anything else, I need to know exactly what kind of van we're talking about. So step one is clear. Decode that VIN. And this is just so cool, because it shows you how the agent thinks. It knows the VIN information lives in a structured table inside Snowflake. So what's the best tool for that? Easy. The Cortex Analyst tool. It automatically translates the request into the precise SQL needed to pull that vehicle's model and year.
Okay, so now we know it's a 1980 to 91 Volkswagen Vanagon. The planner looks at its to-do list and says, right, next step, I need to find the repair information for that specific van and figure out the clutch replacement parts. But this time, the info isn't in a nice, neat database table. It's buried in a bunch of PDF manuals. So the agent switches tools. It grabs the Cortex search tool and performs what's called a semantic search across, get this, 66 different technical manuals. It's not just looking for the word clutch, it's understanding the context to find the exact parts for our Vanagon.
And boom, the agent has now successfully pulled the specific OEM part number from deep inside one of those manuals. We're almost there. The last piece of the puzzle is the price. How much does this thing actually cost today?
And this, for me, is the real showstopper. The agent knows the price isn't stored internally, so what does it do? It deploys a custom Python tool to actually go out onto the internet in real time and scrape pricing data from e-commerce sites like eBay and Autodoc. It's bridging the gap between its internal knowledge and the live external world.
I know what you're thinking. That sounds amazing, but also incredibly complicated to set up, right? Well, it's actually more straightforward than you might imagine. Let's just take a quick, high-level look at how you connect these pieces.
Basically, it boils down to this. You write a little startup script that just says, hey, when you start up, install the Snowflake libraries. You pop that script into a cloud storage bucket that Vertex AI can see. Then, when you fire up your Vertex AI notebook, you just point it to that script. That's pretty much it for the connection. After that, you just configure the agent in a Python script, telling it which tools it's allowed to use.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. We've seen how it works, but what's the big picture here? What does all this actually mean for the future of working with data?
Well, the biggest takeaway has to be this. The future of data analytics is conversational. It all starts with a solid foundation, right? You need that high-quality, governed data in Snowflake. But the real magic is the orchestration, the agent's ability to create a plan and pick the right tool for each step. And by adding custom tools like that Python scraper, you unlock the real world. We are genuinely moving away from a world where you have to be a coder to get answers, and into a world where you can just ask.
And that's really the question I want to leave you with. This tech completely changes our relationship with data. It stops being the static thing you have to wrestle with, and it becomes an active partner you can have a conversation with. It lets us all be more curious, more ambitious, and ultimately ask much bigger, much better questions. So, what would you ask?